In this installment, we're going to be breaking down the Sunday Night Football Showdown slate on DraftKings between the Green Bay Packers and the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Chef D, and I'm here to bring you the winning ingredients for your Sunday Night Football Showdown slate on DraftKings between the Green Bay Packers and the Philadelphia Eagles. But before I deep dive into this pretty much seesaw event here, we got one side of Green Bay Packers who are struggling, the other side of the red hot Philadelphia Eagles. Before I deep dive into that, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and Twitter at MetsNetsJetsD. Don't forget about that TikTok at Chef_D91. And don't forget about that Patreon if you want more DFS, betting, and fantasy football advice. All of those links will be provided down below. And a big shout out to our newest Patreon member in Mario. All right. You guys already know the drill. The first thing we got to get into before we break down captains and the flex plays will be the injury report on the Green Bay Packers side of the ball. Jair Alexander is fine. David Bakhtiari has been questionable each and every week, but he's been playing. Devondre Campbell, linebacker, he's going to be doubtful. He's been having an all-pro season. He's going to be out, so that hurts. Romeo Doubs is out. He's really non-factor now, especially since the emergence of Christian Walker. Let's see. Everyone else is pretty much fine. Alan Lazard limited. Aaron Jones is fine. Aaron Rodgers is fine. Robert Tonyan is fine. Quay Walker and Rashid Walker. All right. Now on the Philadelphia Eagles side, they're coming into this game fully healthy. Not a lot of not listed guys. There's just a lot of veteran rest. But no one that's in major danger, no one of significance is going to be in major danger for this game. Let's get into the captains. Now the El Capitans, the first guy we are going to get to for our captain position. Let's start all the way at the top, and that's going to be the dual threat. Someone that's been having an MVP type of season is Jalen Hurts with this 9-1 Eagles team here. He's coming into this game. If we're looking at the fantasy points allowed to opposing quarterbacks, let's look at that right now really quick for you guys. I like to adjust it from the past 4 weeks because as the season goes along, there's injuries, there's adjustments. You really get a decent outlook on the past 4 weeks, how defenses have been playing. So we're going to scroll all the way down for these Green Bay Packers here, and they are going to be bottom 11, bottom 10 in the league. As you see, 22nd and 27th in the red zone against quarterbacks. 238 passing yards allowed, 2.2 touchdowns. So that is going to bode well for Jalen Hurts. If he gets this arm going, only to just match the rushing attempts that he's going to receive, is going to be over 5 rushing attempts. And if he gets in the end zone, we're looking at a very juicy fantasy football day, especially at that captain spot. Jalen Hurts is going to be packing in the points. So I'm loving him at captain position for the Sunday night slate. His number one target will be A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown's coming off 2 poor performances. So really 3 poor performances. So a big breakout game should be coming. Hopefully he doesn't get too much Jair Alexander coverage. He's been up and down this year, even though that's their number one corner. Usually he's pretty locked down, but A.J. Brown is an elite top tier wide receiver in the league. No one can guard him. When you're talking about A.J. Brown, Justin Jefferson, Devontae Adams, those type of guys, they're on another level, okay? So I wouldn't be afraid to go to the well of A.J. Brown at all, okay? Next guy we're going to look at will be Aaron Jones for the Green Bay Packers. One of the weaknesses to the Philadelphia Eagles is the run-stopping ability, all right? If we're looking at fantasy points allowed to running backs, let's check out these Eagles. And this is the only weakness that they have. They have a pretty decent secondary, but if they can get the running game going, this can open up things in the offense and open up things for the wide receivers and open up things for Christian Watson, who has that speed capability to really break away from these corners and Bradbury and Darius Slay. So if we're looking at the running backs right here, the Philadelphia Eagles still technically have been decent. 19th overall, 16th in the red zone. But look at this right here, 114.5 yards per game that they're giving up and 4.3 yards a carry, all right? So the bread and butter of this Green Bay Packers team is going to be running that football. It's going to be AJ, Aaron Jones, and it's going to be AJ Dillon. So both of those guys are going to be fed. Maybe both of these guys can get cooking. So 10,400, no problem going to Aaron Jones. This is one of the ways that they can really compete with the Philadelphia Eagles, keep this game close, okay? Aaron Rodgers on the other side. This is an ugly matchup, passing-wise. The running game is going to have to be key in this one. And let's look at fantasy points allowed to that quarterback position here. This is why they're pretty much number one overall. The Philadelphia Eagles are top of the list, as you can see. First overall, third in red zone, all right? They allowed 0.5 touchdowns to quarterbacks, only 192 passing yards a game. So it's going to get really ugly in this type of scenario. The Philadelphia Eagles secondary would have to give up chunks and chunks of yardage, even though I think this should be a pretty decent sized game. Let's look at the over-under in this one. Let's see. Oh, can we get a 45 or is it even lower? Let me see. I'm going to scroll down. We got a 46, which I said 45, so I kind of guessed pretty close. Aaron Rodgers is going to have to throw touchdowns for them to keep this game close. He's going to be in consideration as captain, but definitely as flex. A lot of people might just go away from it, go with a very heavy Eagle stack. But I think you can get some Green Bay Packers in here that can make this very, very interesting. All right, so Aaron Jones is going in the pool. Miles Sanders in a great spot here at 8,000. At 10,000 as captain. He can be a sleeper to go in your captain spot here. Back-to-back bad games here at 5.8 and 5.4 against the Colts and the Washington Commanders. But the key component here, there's another team here in the Green Bay Packers that struggle with stopping the run of the football. All right, so if we're looking at the Green Bay Packers here, they're very poor as well. 20th overall, 21st in the red zone, 116 yards a game to that running back position, 4.4 yards a carry. So this bodes well for Jalen Hurts, who we already spoke about, and it bodes well for the number one running back who's going to get double-digit touches in Miles Sanders. So he's on his pace of getting over 1,000 yards. He's looking fine. Maybe he could probably finish the year with 10 TDs as well. Miles Sanders is in a great spot in this game as a lower-owned captain option. All right. Next guy we can talk about will be Devonta Smith. He's been decent. All right. There's a lot of up and down games with Devonta Smith. As you can see, week 8 and week 9. Single-digit fantasy points, all right? The past 2 weeks, we've been very lucky with 13.8, 14.9. Not a big explosion, but something that can suffice in your lineups at the flex position. So, or even captain. So Devonta Smith is in consideration at his current price, all right? Let's see, we can find, especially if all the attention is going to A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith is going to fly under the radar. All right, so he's going to be in the pool as well. Let's see if we can throw in some other guys here. We got Allen Lazard and we have Christian Watson right here. Allen Lazard, it's 1A, 1B here between these two type of guys. The guy that's been getting most of the touchdowns as of late has been Christian Watson, all right? A little progression there for him finally getting some playing time, some consistent playing time. Allen Lazard is still someone that's getting the majority of targets as well. So we got 25 targets the past 3 weeks, 11 targets last week, but just didn't get in the end zone at his current price. And then we got the rookie here in Christian Watson, who's really shining, all right? He's going to see the number 2 cornerback most of the time. We got a 21 fantasy point performance against Tennessee and a 35.7 fantasy performance against Dallas. So he came right back. He has 5 touchdowns in the past 2 weeks. Christian Watson, maybe he's going to continue this as the number 1 and emerge as the number 1 wide receiver for this Green Bay Packers. All right, he has the size speed combination to do so. All right, a lot of people counted him out earlier in the season. He's finally healthy and he's getting things rolling. So Christian Watson is definitely notable at that captain position as well. Let's move over to our flex plays. Next up will be the flex ops, all right? So we're going to start off, before we get to the cheaper flex plays, let's get through the defense and kickers right here. Both kickers are going to be viable in this game, all right? In Philadelphia, So I have no problem going towards Jake Elliott or Mason Crosby here, veteran Mason Crosby. Both of these teams are going to move the ball. Question is, can they convert in that red zone area? And if not, they will be taking field goals. So I have no problem going either or in that direction. For the defenses, we're going to stay away from Green Bay. We're going to stick with the home team here with the Philadelphia Eagles. You can do a nice little stack with Miles Sanders and the Eagles defense. Eagles defense has been top tier all year. 9.7 fantasy points per game. That's what they're averaging. Look at the sacks right here. 4, 3, 3, 6 in the past 4 weeks. They cause and create havoc. That doesn't bode well for the Green Bay Packers offensive line and for Aaron Rodgers as well. Right, we're going to stick with the home team here in this very aggressive, strong front seven in Philadelphia Eagles. All right, so that's the defense we're going to go with. We're going to stay away from the Green Bay Packers defense. Let's find some other gems at the flex ops that can go down at the bottom. Number one will be Robert Tonyan. He's been coming on just a little bit. We're not getting what we saw a few years back where he had 8-9 touchdowns in that year. Robert Tonyan is getting just a little bit of targets here and there. He is viable if he has some upside at the tight end position, all right? Despite the fact that it's just strong across the board, this Philadelphia Eagles defense. Robert Tonyan does provide some upside. He is still a very good pass-catching tight end in the league, all right? So he can be in consideration at the flex. The other running back on this offense for the Green Bay Packers, a little two-headed monster. He is yet to get going this year after having a decent year last year. A.J. Dillon is just really struggling. He only had a double-digit fantasy point performance in week 1 with 20 fantasy points. So would you go back to the well? The trend tells you no, but this matchup for the Eagles, it tells you he has some upside because that is the main weakness of the Philadelphia Eagles. You got to run the ball down the throat. You got to be very physical going up against this Philadelphia Eagles team. So A.J. Dillon is going to be viable as a flex as well. Let's clear these guys out and let's see if we can find some more gems. Quez Watkins on the Philadelphia Eagles side, he's been coming through here and there with some big special plays, okay? We saw 4 for 80 in week 10, and then we saw a touchdown from him in week 11. So Quez Watkins, limited usage. He's their gadget guy, short screen type of guy. He could take any catch to the house. So that type of upside is viable in a showdown slate. So we can consider him. Kenneth Gainwell is the number 2 running back in this offense. He's mainly going to be the receiving back in third down situations. Obviously, this is a throw in the dark because there is no consistency here. We would need an injury from Miles Sanders for us to really have faith in Kenneth Gainwell. So we can put him towards the side, but I definitely did have to mention him. Sammy Watkins. If I'm going for a cheap wide receiver on Green Bay, it's going to be Randall Cobb. Randall Cobb is at 5,200. This is one of the favorite options for Aaron Rodgers in that slot position. We saw 6 receptions, 6 targets, 73 yards. Randall Cobb is definitely someone we can consider as a cheap flex play. Let's see if we can continue going down below the kickers and the defenses. Before we get to the under 1K guys, other than that, we have to figure out the Philadelphia Eagles tight end situation, all right? So Jack Stoll's mainly a blocking tight end. He did get a reception last week, but the guy that's going to provide upside at the tight end position, because it's a very good environment going up against the Green Bay Packers, that tight end position, the guy we're going to look at will be Calcaterra. Grant Calcaterra is their receiving option at the tight end position. He only got 19 snaps last week, so hopefully we can get an increase there. He's going to be the sneaky guy that could get in the end zone. In these situations, they can utilize his size, and Grant Calcaterra has the upside. All right, so this is the deep punt play here. Grant Calcaterra, that's the tight end we want. Hopefully this comes through. That's a real gem no one is talking about. And then other than that, that's how far I would go. I would consider Grant Calcaterra. I would go with Randall Cobb, Quez Watkins as cheaper options at the bottom part of the flex. Let's fill out the main 3 to 4 guys that we're going to have in each and every one of our lineups. Number 1 will be Jalen Hurts. This is a dual threat guy right here. Utilizes legs and his arm. I love the situation he's in. Number 2 will be Aaron Jones. The weakness for the Philadelphia Eagles is running that ball. Aaron Jones is their more explosive back, more consistent, because A.J. Dillon has not shown up this year. Number 3 will be A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown has back-to-back poor games, and we're waiting for a little bit of a breakout for him. This is a great spot going up against someone that has some skills as well in Jair Alexander. And do we have a fourth? If we're considering a fourth, we will go with Christian Watson. Can he stay hot? All right. 5 touchdowns in the past 2 weeks. Can he continue? We are yet to see. I'd like to see some upside from him. A lot of attention is going to be on Allen Lazard. Yes, the Eagles have 2 dominant corners, but for them, they're going to have to create some offense some way. They're not going to just stonewall him the whole entire game. Aaron Rodgers is going to create some opportunities. Christian Watson has that speed that can really break apart very, very tough corner-to-corner defense. So we're going to go with those 4 guys in our lineups. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and Twitter at MetsNetsJetsD, and I'll be back with another video very soon, all right? Peace out, guys.